Hello, everyone, and that's the wrong button. Welcome to the Talk to the Internet podcast. Hold on, I got it. There we go.
That picture of Criken that you got.
Yeah, it's the most dramatic one I could find on the internet. Yeah, Criken is hustling right now. He's making some streamer bills, and you know what? We are too, because we have a fine sponsor for this podcast, which Bruce will tell you about eventually. But Bruce and I are here. We're going to talk to you because it's the internet, and that's what we do.
We talk to the chat, we talk to each other, and we talk about hot tubs. Like we were just talking about.
Yeah, it's impossible to get away from it. It's great.
It really
conservative values are back. We can't have our kids looking at girls in hot tubs, and I guess that's what people are mad about. I guess okay, so I'm gonna throw myself onto the floor and thrash around a little bit because I don't really know much about this topic because I kind of don't care. But I'm gonna say some dumb shit, and it's the responsibility of you, Bruce, and chat to correct me and tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. That's what's about to happen.
You got it,
right?
yeah.
All right.
Let's go.
It is my understanding that there are two reasons that people are mad about hot tub streams on Twitch. One is that it seems to display a double standard about TOS enforcement, where some people have been temporarily banned or permanently banned for exposure or sexual content. Meanwhile, hot tubs are doing that and more, and there doesn't seem to be any problem there because it's bigger streamers getting away with it. That seems to be part one. Seems to be part two is that people are upset about the proximity of sexual content near things that are ostensibly kids content. So a Minecraft streamer wearing a bunny costume telling kids to believe in themselves is right next to a girl leaning over a hot tub to pick up some food and jiggling all of her goodies for the world to see, and that this content will corrupt our youth, our nation's youth that must be kept pure and away from the jiggly bits. That seems to be the two natures of it. I don't know. Am I wrong about that? Am I off?
Lawrence, I don't think you're wrong at all. I actually think you're right on both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the hot tub meta, as people are calling it.
Oh, no.
I'm serious. They're calling that. So the hot tub meta is basically like if you are in a hot tub. So if you're in a bathing suit in a hot tub, whether or not it's a guy or girl or whatever, you're fine. You don't get banned because it's not TOS because you're in a hot tub. Does that make sense? So the context of what you're doing on Twitch, as long as, like, for example, if you were sitting in a gaming chair playing video games in a bathing suit, it probably wouldn't work. Like, at that point, you're clearly just showing off your body. Not whether or not you're male, female, whatever else. You're just showing off your body because you're playing games in a bathing suit. But if you're in a hot tub, well, that's okay, right? You got to be in a bathing suit to be in a hot tub because that's what you do. And so that is from what I understand, the hot tub meta. I'm sure there are many more nuanced conversations around the hot tub meta, but that's what it is for me. And it's an interesting thing that I don't know exactly. Like when people are like, "Well, just look at TOS. TOS will tell you." It doesn't tell you. Like I have looked at TOSs 100,000 times, and I've read those things over and over and over. And sometimes TOS says don't show male nipples, but then I'll see a hot tub stream with male nipples. And sometimes TOS says, you can't be like showing off your body in a bathing suit. But again, hot tub in a bathing suit. So it's like the TOS does not cover everything on Twitch. And I think so. I think Lawrence, I think you're absolutely correct about that. And then number two, yes, of course, you are right about how it maybe a hot tub stream right next to a like a kid's stream would be a problem. However, I think on Twitch you can age gate, right? You can say like this stream is for 18 years or older.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can mark your stream as mature and then it won't autoplay. And you have to kind of click on the thing in the middle.
Yes. So the rules are arbitrary according to Dickie and your chat, Lawrence, because they really are. Like
all rules are arbitrary. People make them up. There's no rules have ever I mean, sometimes in some myth, yes, rules have literally come down from on high that you have to follow. But Twitch is a system made by people for people to use, for other people to watch. So yeah, the rules are arbitrary because people made it. They have to make it up out of somewhere. I think that's what I feel like is a weird part of. So while I think it's a bit anachronistic, I do kind of understand and empathize with thinking about a kid going to watch Roblox content and then seeing a girl shove her ass into a camera. That predicates an odd conversation that maybe a kid's not quite ready to have or whatever. But this notion that like Twitch should have 5 or 6 years ago come up with some kind of unimpeachable moral code to guide this service for all eternity that was unchanging and unevolving. That seems weird to me when the content creators and the audience will assail that every day to try to find an edge. And if you got some goodies, your edge can be showing a little bit of that. If you're really good at Fortnite, your edge is being great at Fortnite and showing that. Everyone has something about them that's marketable in terms of live streaming. So it's weird to me that people seem so utterly confounded that this situation got here, because it reminds me of like how Japanese people circumvent gambling law. You just find something that's as close to what you want, that's borderline legal, and then you either put the regulation party in the position of making absurdly specific rules that like outside of that context make no sense. So yeah, people are using situational streams as hot tubs to put sexual content onto Twitch, but they were gonna do that anyway, right?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
They're gonna get exactly as sexual as they're allowed to.
And that's actually, so this sounds ridiculous, and it's because I've been on Twitch now for about 4 years. Lawrence, you've been on Twitch much longer than I have. What, 6, 7, 8 years?
God, my first stream was 2012, I think.
Oh, wow, man. So we're talking 9 years. And then on YouTube, I'd been on YouTube for about, let's say 10 years. I'm still on YouTube, obviously, just not as much. So there's an inherent trust you have to have in the system, whether or not it's the judicial system or the governmental system or Twitch or YouTube. And for me, I actually do inherently trust Twitch more than I do YouTube. And there are lots of reasons, and it's not because I hate YouTube or whatever. It's just more of like, I trust Twitch because the people that I've talked to at Twitch, people that actually work for Twitch, seem more reasonable generally. And that's not because the people at YouTube that I talk to are also very reasonable, but I've often got, as YouTube gets more commercialized, I've often got the conversation, there's nothing we can do on YouTube. Whereas Twitch is a little different. Twitch has been like, no, you know what? As long as you do stuff as long as you're reasonable about it, then you're okay. And I think what you said, Lawrence, is an interesting edge case about like somebody in a hot tub with a bathing suit. Now, the difference is if they're just sitting there in a bathing suit in a hot tub, whatever, right? And the audience will do with that what they will. But if they're shoving their ass in the camera, like you said, then there might be a problem. And to me, that's where it becomes kind of obvious. And the reason I say that is because the TOS, specifically on Twitch, says that when you're playing a video game, if there is a sex scene or if there is nudity, it's okay. However, if the streamer constantly calls it out and replays it and zooms in on it, it's like, oh, tits, like whatever, then they could get banned for it. And that to me shows a little bit of something being reasonable, Twitch being reasonable. Is that like, well, we understand there's going to be nudity or whatever in a video game. Not a big deal. But the fact of the matter is if I'm like, for example, if I'm in a hot tub, I'm sitting there and I'm like in shorts and I'm like zooming in on my dick and pointing at my dick and be like, dick, then I could probably get banned. But if I'm just sitting there fucking talking to the chat like you do on Twitch and, writing my name on a floaty or changing my bathing suit or whatever, then no big deal. So that's kind of where I see the nuance. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does. I think what that leads to though is like there's two paths. There's two wolves fighting inside of you. One path is that Twitch goes like the standards and practices route of TV, where they say you can only have cumulative 30 seconds of nipple, male or female, combined in your stream at any time, regardless of the stream length. Or it's like for every hour of your stream, you're allowed 5 seconds of screen time of nipple. And then they'll go in and count frames. And if you go over that, boom, you get dinged and you get banned. And then you could say, but this is ridiculous. I had a wardrobe malfunction. My shirt flipped. I have a shirt that has a picture of a nipple on it. Does that count? Like, I accidentally saw a JPEG of a dude's nipple when I was scrolling on Reddit. And those situations exist where if you have like razor specific laws, they're going to be enforced, and sometimes that's unfair. The situation we're in now, Bruce, the situation you describe, where the law or the TOS describes intent. And to judge that, you need a human being.
That's right.
And it's going to be a different person making the call in not every circumstance, but in particular circumstances. So that leads to the TOS seemingly enforced arbitrarily. One person makes a judgment call there, another one does there. And then somebody who's really mad about it will bring up those two things and say, look at how unfair it is. You can't have it like 100% consistent, but also allow for the flexibility to govern a human system with flexibility and compassion. So that's kind of what I see is Twitch, I think, is taking the more nuanced way, which does open up some weird edge cases that don't make a lot of sense. Somebody posted an interesting comment in your chat there, Bruce. Gusty Ninja said, Twitch is open to 13-year-olds, but if a 13-year-old would start to do hot tub streams because they see other people doing it, that is not legal. I think there's a judgment call to be made there too. That's certainly an uncomfortable thing to think about, but that's kind of flawed logic. Gamers have been there. There's the age-old thing of like, if kids play violent games, they'll go out and kill people, and people that like video games have spent years turning their nose up at that logic. Yeah. So there's a lot more complication there, I think. Also, not to mention that a 13-year-old ostensibly has parents that would at some point be aware that their kid is setting up a laptop pointed at a hot tub.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah.
We don't actually know that, but I mean, like, again, reason would dictate that probably if this person has a camera, internet, a computer, and a hot tub, there might be a parent somewhere floating around there that would know what's going on. So I know what you're saying, Lawrence.
Yeah, but it's not that that's a social safety net, because we all know that you can't, in 100% of situations, you obviously can't rely on parents to be totally aware and have a moral center and even be in the home or what have you. But holy cow, go away. Sorry, there's just an ad. I don't know. It's tough. I don't know that the people who I think are justifiably confused at the way Twitch handles this situation, I don't know that they'd necessarily like the alternative. Because it's not that the alternative is, we're now in Nazi Germany, but I do think the alternative is now there's a very strict code that everyone has to abide by to prevent these edge cases. And I'm not convinced people are going to like operating under that either. Because people get bent out of shape when their content is impacted in any way, like the DMCA claims. So let's say because there are hot tub streamers now, you're not allowed to play any rated M game. It's an extreme example, but I don't know. I think maybe being chill with somebody else doing what they're doing means that you get to be chill doing what you're doing. I think maybe there's an angle there to be appreciated.
I want to address two comments that I saw in my chat. Cloudless, I'll get to yours first, but Master Sergeant Bates said, I'm still confused how hot tubs are related to sexual things. It's just a hot tub, a tub of hot water. So, and Master Sergeant, it's not about what's happening in the hot tub or whatever. It's about what is implied. Like, basically, like if there's a dude who's shirtless, flexing his muscles and like all oiled up in a hot tub, then some people could be like, well, wait a minute, I don't want my 17-year-old, 15-year-old, fuck my 18-year-old if they're living at home to watch this. Like this is really bad because there's something sexual implied. And again, this is sort of where reason jumps in and says, well, wait a minute, are they doing anything sexual? Are they out there like humping the water or, like licking their fingers and, like doing really overtly sexual things? Or are they just sitting there talking to chat? And that's really the question. I don't know. I'm not sure. By the way, no, Criken is not here.
Are you sure?
He may. Well, somebody was like, "Is Criken here?" He may join us.
Yeah, he's out hustling for cash right now. Or I mean that's my. So I actually don't. He's taking business calls. So and I've been there a million times. So no hard feelings there. It's funny you bring that up, Bruce, because I feel like cosplaying was the thing before this, or
Yeah,
body
yeah.
painting. Like there have been activities where ladies specifically have the gall to show their bodies in any kind of way, sexual or no, and then it causes issues because there were cosplay streamers who would try to show as much as they could. I saw it happen. There was like I can't remember her name, nor would I guess I want to say it even if I didn't remember, but yeah, there was somebody who was complaining about how unfair it was that they got like a temporary ban. But then I watched the stream and I could tell, like, she would look at the camera, she'd look down, she'd move her clothes back a little bit and look at the camera again, and she knew what she was doing. She was going out of her way to show a little more. And I think a Twitch mod saw the intention, and was like, okay, you know what you're doing. But then that person can then go claim, oh, this is so unfair. All the other cosplay streamers aren't hit. Why was it me? And then the mod could say, well, you did this. And then they can say, no, I didn't. And it's this, it's this fuzzy back and forth. So I just think this is an evolution of it. This is it's the human race, man. It's so fascinating how people will like knock at a system until they find an angle. And then once one person finds it, boom, it blows it open for everybody. And now Twitch is kind of stuck in the middle, having to figure out how to navigate it.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing what you just said, which is they have, from what I've seen, humans watching the streams being like, this might be a little too overtly sexual. Like, we should probably, and by the way, they don't ban the person for life. They ban them for 7 days or a day or whatever. And it's sort of like a slap on the wrist being like, don't do that again. I'm, by the way, I'm not siding with Twitch either. It's not like I think everything that Twitch does is correct. I don't. There are lots of things I've criticized about, and one of which is like these hot tub streams that I'm like, I'm really surprised that some people are getting away with what they're getting away with, and then other times they seem just fine. So there are lots of I guess things that are open for interpretation on Twitch. So I'm not saying everything they do is right. However, I tend to trust that system a little more than I do YouTube, only because it's not currently as commercialized as YouTube is. YouTube used to be like Twitch. When we were making content for Funhouse and Inside Gaming, we could do whatever the fuck we wanted. Like those thumbnails, like blurring out porn and shit, like we did all the time. And that stuff lived on YouTube for years up until Adpocalypse, basically. And then Adpocalypse changed everything for YouTube. So there could be that may happen on Twitch, but I think Twitch is trying to avoid that. So
yeah, it's the I guess in that regard, it's great that you bring that up, Bruce, because in that regard, it's really unfair of me to kind of, I don't know. I have this air of like, I don't understand why people don't get that this was coming, but I'm coming from a perspective of being in media creation and knowing what that environment is like and understanding the absolute competitiveness of it. Let's say that you're a streamer who's working really hard on what you do, and then, somebody next to you is working just as hard, but they're also in a hot tub. Sometimes you have to play the game a little bit. You have to give people what they expect. Not necessarily, they may want it, but if they don't click on it, they'll never know that they wanted it. So there is an angle of just, kind of, it's half playing the game and half putting what you want out there.
Yep.
It's kind of what it feels like. So Bruce, do you think Twitch is going to get to YouTube status in like 5 years?
Absolutely it will. I mean, it's inevitable. Because what happens is eventually these platforms, whether you like it or not, people watching, they live on ad dollars. And when advertisers don't want to have their, family-friendly products living next to a streamer in a hot tub, then they dictate the content you watch on Twitch. That's just the way it goes. And it's going to happen. I just don't know when. And truthfully, like the DMCA stuff that was coming down that's been happening the last year or so, I've been saying that it's going to be happening like that on Twitch for years. I've been like, this is not going to live forever. It's going to go away. And I don't know what'll stop it, but it's going to get stopped. The DMCA was stopping it. A lot of like media share stuff. And like you said, people just putting on a whole Kendrick album.
Yeah. Or just like a whole season of a TV show. I would watch some, WoW players and they would be grinding or whatever, and I get it. It's boring. But yeah, there would just be a little window of like Netflix rolling or something. I'm just like, how do you wow. What's crazy is once somebody does that once, they start to feel like those are the rules forever. That's what gets me is you thought that was okay. All right. Man, I had something banked up, but now I've lost it.
Well, I can go back because there was another comment that I got from Cloudless who was saying and this is a kind of a different topic, but it's the same, which is like, if let's say you're 15 years old and you go and you click on a stream that says, don't click here unless you're 18, and then you click it, does that absolve the platform of any guilt? And usually like, you know what I'm saying? Like, a younger person gets into an age-gated stream only because they clicked a button. What happens is, the reason platforms do this, and I can speak to this because I've talked to standards and practices from all of these places, YouTube, Twitch, and when I was on television, and basically the way the standards and practices work usually is they will say, as long as we have a defense to give to a judge.
Mm-hmm.
So if we took this whole thing to court, if we said there's a 15-year-old that clicked on a stream that was obviously for 18 years or older, but they clicked this button, and the judge says, what do you have to say for yourself, Twitch? And Twitch says, we put the button in. And this person knowingly lied about their age to get into a stream. And the judge says, you got it. Twitch is innocent. So that's what they need. You just need some sort of defense to say, like, Twitch tried.
Mm-hmm. You got to demonstrate that you took some active effort to prevent this from happening. Yeah. I mean, every one of us, I'm sure, did this when we were looking at porn and we were under 18, and it was always like, don't click here if you're under 18, and you're like, yeah,
click the button. But again, you lied.
We're all 18 today.
Yeah. But you as a person lied. So if you click that button and then your parents sued, they would bring you into court and be like, well, were you 18? No, you weren't. You lied. So you were the one who did wrong.
Yeah. Does it ethically absolve Twitch? There's no ethics in business. I mean, maybe if a company's small enough, it can be ethical, but once it gets big enough, the ethics of an individual human just get erased. It doesn't matter anymore. Now we have a series of laws that try to compel our companies to behave as ethically as we can expect them to. But again, I don't think it's an ethical issue. The where Twitch has drawn the line is no more sexual than you'll see in any average advertisement. How many times have you seen a woman in a bikini in a hot tub at the beach enjoying a Coca-Cola, enjoying a McDonald's cheeseburger? On the paper, the nature of what they're doing is not bad, even if the trajectory of it is. And it's up to Twitch to draw a line somewhere, and they've drawn it right about at hot tubs. So I don't really see I don't see a problem with advertisers, coming to Twitch and seeing a girl in a hot tub. They might be confused, but I guarantee you that individual advertiser has probably produced something racier than that at some point in the last 10 years. Actually, the sexuality in ads has dipped a bit, I want to say, in the last 10 years. Social justice up to their old tricks. But it seems weird, but fine where it is now, I think. But so, you know what? Watching people play video games is weird too. I guess I struggle to see. I guess I do struggle to see the real problem of it. Now, actually, wait. I forgot there is a mystical third option. That Twitch should be for video games, and this is not video games.
Well, that's not a real thing.
No?
Twitch could be whatever you want.
Oh.
Like, Twitch isn't. We don't own Twitch, Lawrence. Amazon does.
Oh, but no, Bruce. We stream on Twitch, which means they owe us for Twitch being big. I mean, there are some people who believe that like the content creators are the ones who drive the engines, so they should be the one to say. I mean, the irony there is the content creators are the ones in the tubs, making money. So they're saying that too. But yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about. I don't know. Shit changes, man. That's kind of where. That's just at the end of my thinking is just like times evolve, and people are going to find ways to be horny.
Our culture is evolving in addition to Twitch, because Twitch is getting bigger and bigger every day. So as it gets bigger, then they have a harder time cracking down on whatever it is on their platform, and so then the rules become more muddied, and it just becomes harder to police. And that's what happened to YouTube. Like, YouTube got bigger and bigger and bigger until eventually they were just like, all right, well, you know what? Now we got to be really strict. And so that's what's going to happen to Twitch. Twitch gets larger and larger. I'm glad you brought up Twitch is for video games and the creators drive the engine, not Amazon. That's not true. It's just not like, and if like, I guess on the best day, I will say that Twitch is a symbiotic relationship between creators and a business. And on the worst day, I will say, no, Amazon absolutely owns whatever you're doing here. So if you want to go do something else on another platform, go do it. Nobody's stopping you. And that's just, unfortunately, that's true. Like, you could go to DLive, which is the, streamer platform powered by cryptocurrency. Go do that. And then at that point, okay, well, you left Twitch. Hey, good for you. I'm glad. And then DLive will be the small thing that like sort of builds up eventually. And then if it gets really popular, you know what's going to happen to it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, I don't know. So to me, it's all about the symbiosis of the creator and the business. And I'm more about that. I'm more about trying to make that relationship work, less about being like, Twitch is what I want it to be. And if it's not, fuck them. Like, that's not me. I know that's not the way I work, and it never has been. So,
yeah, I can't. I'm trying to think about an example of a media network that scaled past that point of having multiple revenue streams and multiple audiences to talk to, but everything was still loosey goosey, easy peasy. I can't think of one. I guess Tumblr feels like maybe they were cruising the longest until they had their porno crackdown. But even then, man. Yeah, it's really interesting to think about. I don't know that I've seen the cycle turn enough to say so boldly that it always ends up this way, but boy does it feel like it. Once there's enough money and interested parties, maybe it's just that if there's ever a time where one group is the only group, they start to enjoy being the only group, and then once those considerations start to branch out and acknowledge more people, those people are left being like, what happened? Why is everything changing? That just seems to be like that's kind of the middle of what we're in right now.
Yeah, it's I've seen this phrase thrown around a lot recently on social media, and I think it's hilarious, which is you don't realize you're in the good old days till they're gone. And I don't know, it's got to be because I'm a little older, but like, shit, man, I realized that shit 10 years ago. And I was like, oh fuck, like 10 years ago, I was like, damn it. I didn't realize those were the good old days, like, and now when I see that, I go, oh, well, they're just figuring it out for the first time. And that's what this is. It's like, you don't realize when Lawrence was streaming on Twitch back in 2012, Lawrence could have done whatever the fuck he wanted and nobody would have cared. But now, totally different. So you didn't, but I don't know if Lawrence realized back then. Did you realize you were in the good old days, Lawrence?
I did, actually. Yeah. I mean,
well, there you go. Perfect. Good.
I used to edit demo disc, and when you would give me notes to like make the blur smaller, and then we got away with it, I was like, okay, these are. I was already like, oh boy, this is not gonna last. The second YouTube sees what we're doing, and the thing is, guys, think about this. That was the major view driver for our entire channel. Was a show that, while it was an amazing show, and Bruce deserves a lot of credit for the concept and the framework of that show, it had fucking porn in it at the end, and that's how you get people watching to the end. It's not rocket science. It's more about like who can think of it and execute it well. Yeah, I remember in the back of my head thinking like, oh my gosh, we're scaling our entire business off of censored porn, basically. And it worked, and we could get away with that at that window of YouTube. I wonder how that would work now. Probably not at all. You'd have to blur the entire frame, which is still funny, really, but
it doesn't work. I mean, but also there are other things that do work. So like I can't give you a good example on YouTube because I don't know. I haven't been making that content in a while. But there is something that is right on the edge for what the censors will catch, and you put it up, and then you see. You find out, like if YouTube, because that's what we used to do with demo discs. You would cut it, Lawrence, and then I'd throw it on YouTube just to see if they caught it. And then if they didn't, I'd be like, great, we're good. And then it would go live. And then if they did catch it, then I'd be like, okay, I would guess as to what I thought was bad and be like, okay, Lawrence, I think it's probably this blur. Let's just go through and blur the rest of it. to be safe. That would be the fix.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what everybody, and that's exactly what the hot tub meta is. It's people testing the limits and seeing like, okay, well, if I'm in a hot tub, that's fine. If I'm in a bathing suit, that's fine. But if I show my ass to the camera, banned. Same deal. So,
yeah, it's the relentless twist of a free enterprise.
yeah.
And it's interesting to see, but that's I guess that's what's confusing about it to me. I thought this kind of innovation would be celebrated or at least understood. But if I'm being honest with myself, I guess it makes sense that the people are pushing back against it. Another mystical fourth thing that I forgot about, and this one honestly kind of resonates the most with me, is that when I come to Twitch, I don't want to see any dang old women sitting in hot tubs. Like, that's just what it is. I go to the front page, I want to see some damn video games. And I know that you can like click various streams and like say, I don't want to see this, I don't want to see this. But it is my understanding that hot tub streams do show up on promoted spaces sometimes. That can be like, there are worse things that could happen to you in your day. That's for sure. But I won't lie. Like there's something about happiness thieves. I'll be scrolling Twitter and I'll see a take that's just so mind-numbingly, just ass-blastingly backwards for my sensibilities that is just like, oh, you've taken the next 3 minutes of my life because now I have to sit here and just be mad at how stupid you are. So I can see how if you have your day and you're whistling a little tune, you got to bounce in your step, then you go to Twitch and then somebody's just chilling in a hot tub and you're like, that's stupid, that's dumb, I don't like it. That's old man yelling at cloud territory. But all right, there's that too.
While I think what you're describing is valid, I'm going to go ahead and say the thing that I say to everybody else, which is it's okay to be bothered by it, but don't let it ruin your day. Don't let it change your mood. It's okay that you're bothered, but guys, you don't have control over this billion-dollar platform. You don't. So whatever you see on Twitch or Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, you don't control, and you're probably going to see something that pisses you off. So instead, control the reaction that you have to it. Because I'm going to fuck up the saying, but the saying is, you don't control what happens to you, you control your reaction to it. And that's true. You don't. You don't control what happens to you, but you do control how you react to those things. So then, do your best to not let it ruin your day. You could totally, vent and be like, oh, I can't believe that person said that fucking, frosting on cake is bad. Like, what are they thinking? Then just move on. I'd be like, hilarious. And then, shrug it off and go about your day with whatever attitude you had before.
Yeah. I think the follow-up statement there is like, but where do we draw the line, Bruce? How stoic am I expected to be? What if a streamer walks into my place and sets up a hot tub stream in my living room? Am I expected to walk around that to get to my cozy place on the couch? Slippery slope arguments are something for sure, but I don't think we're on it yet, or to the degree that we're always on it. People are.
Yeah. No, we are. We totally are. You're right. Like that'll never happen. Obviously, what you just described, it's not real. But
but if only.
But if hey, this. I mean,
dude, Bruce, million dollar idea. We ran out of strip mall. All right, we subdivide all of the rooms. We put inflatable pools in them all, and then we set up cameras. Oh boy, this sounds bad. And we just rent like little hot tub cubes, so somebody doesn't have to set up their own hot tub. You just come on in.
That's a cam girl farm.
No, Bruce, no. They're taking.
It's a cam girl farm.
No, it's a tub farm. It's a tub farm. It's beautiful accommodations, great lighting, high quality cameras. No pornography. Twitch said it's fine, so it's fine for me. Anyway, if we get them small enough, we can fit at least 50 chicks in there.
Well, I mean,
charge them by the hour.
By the way, they don't have to be chicks. That's what I'm going to prove with my hot tub stream. Is it could just be a hairy dude. It doesn't matter what it is. You just get on into that hot tub, start streaming.
I think it'll still work. Okay. Here's another tack on this. Oh, also somebody brought up we need a just farting. Like that's a weird thing. Like fetishistic streams that aren't like feet streams or
like ASMR. Yeah.
Is ASMR sexual by default?
I don't know about by default, but I know that people have fetishized it.
I guess that's true. Yeah. Right. But chicks dropping or anybody dropping air biscuits directly into a mic, that's probably got to appeal to somebody. Maybe cake farts, ladies like stomping through chili. How come we haven't seen any of that? I'm sure it's happened, right? I have seen lady streamers shove feet into camera, and I would expect to see a lot more of that. But I guess Twitch does. Do they enforce any kind of anything on that?
I mean, I think they again, this is where the reasonable human comes into play, which is like, if they're like, this is clearly a fetish. They are doing this for a sexual reason, like the farting into a cake thing. Like, there's really no other reason than because it's somebody's probably getting off on it.
Probably.
And yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Like, like what I'm saying is let's say there's 20% of the audience that just wants to see somebody fart into a cake, but they're not jacking off to it. Well, whatever, fine. But the other 80% is sitting there being like, oh my gosh, it's making me so hard. So that's sort of where I think, again, within a reasonable doubt, somewhere in there, Twitch has to be like, I don't know about that one.
Yeah. I'm kind of fascinated by this now because surely people have done it. And I have to assume that because it's not everywhere on Twitch, that there is some kind of enforcement about it. Yeah, Pop-Tart says Pop-Tart Kitty says there's a fetish for everything. Yes.
Yeah, there is.
So I would think that a live streaming site like Twitch would have a whole thing, just like a back room with a curtain over it, where all of those streams go, where it's not overtly sexual, but they're, this is the realm of fetishes of like women like rubbing a steak on their face just for an hour straight or something. It's always women doing weird things. Human race is awesome. So yeah, I guess it is just Twitch mods on a case-by-case basis have to judge sexual intent, which is a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
Man.
That's the that's what happens with humans. If you provide a platform for every human in the world, like Twitch or YouTube, well, you're going to find yourself in that judgmental position at some point. And because someone's going to hate it and someone's going to love it. So you got to figure out who's actually who's bad for business and who's good for business.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
There are whole businesses set up for cake farts. Like you could go to fucking Pornhub, because I think people can stream on Pornhub, right?
Oh yeah.
It doesn't. Yeah. So you can stream on Pornhub. So go stream cake farts on Pornhub. Why not? And at that point, you'll never get banned. You do whatever you want, and then I don't know, maybe you'll make a couple bucks. See, the thing is, and this is where it all boils then to me, if somebody's like, well, no, I want to stream on Twitch. You know what that means? They're greedy. That just means they want more money. And if they want more money, then they have to play the game. So
Yep. You got to do the dance. I remember that happening back when demonetization started on YouTube. Creators were like, we can't do this anymore. And I was like, no, you can. You're just getting demonetized. You won't get paid for doing it anymore. But if you believe that strongly in your art, you would do it for free. But no, it's a job. That's the thing that always killed me. And I can't. It was weird to me that because what would happen when the demonetization wave started in 2015, 16? When Coca-Cola first pulled their ads?
Adpocalypse, I thought was 2017. I thought it was the beginning of 2017. I could be wrong, but
I think you're right. That sounds a little more accurate. And yeah, the verbiage from creators to their audience was like, we can't make our content anymore. And certain crazier, maybe more, what's the word? I'm trying to say this as diplomatically as I can. Certain, I guess, more insightful talking heads on the internet that maybe got dinged for saying certain things, certain brash and angry things. They were like, I'm getting censored. And they would tell their audiences this, and their audiences would be like, yeah, you are. But they weren't. They were still allowed to say whatever they wanted. All they did was lose the ability to make advertising dollars off of it. And you would think that at a snap would sap all of the vigor away from what they're saying, is that their creative output is being stifled. It's absolutely not. You can do whatever you want. You just lost the right to make money off of it. So that's what's weird to me too. Yeah. If under all of these systems, kind of like you're saying, Bruce, when somebody says like, I have lost the ability to do blank, I'm like, well, no, you just don't want to accept the conditions of doing blank, which is a different statement.
Yep. It always boils down to money. I mean, whenever it's always like, it's just, when you're dealing with huge platforms like Twitch and YouTube, you are dealing with a lot of money, and the reason there's a lot of money in these platforms is because of the advertisers. So the advertisers and Amazon are supporting this stuff, and if the advertisers don't like what creators are putting on the platform, then they can stop it because they were the ones that initially fucking started it. So for me, when I look at this stuff and I'm like, well, yeah, just like Lauren said, we'll just change your videos a little bit, or go somewhere else, go make your art somewhere else. It's a pretty simple answer, and like usually the best businesses are the ones that were made because they didn't like the current market. Usually, like somebody is innovating because they didn't like, like the guys that started Google were probably like, I hate Alta Vista, it's trash. Like, let's start a better search engine, and that's what capitalism and the free market's all about. Is that like there's some innovation, there's an open spot in the market, and so you're trying to fill that. So I always I know it sounds like kind of a shitty thing to say, but I really truly mean it when somebody's like, boy, movies are terrible these days. I'm like, go write one. Go write a movie. Like, make a good movie. Because if you think they're bad, hopefully you'll find an open place in the market for your movie that is good. That's the goal. And I really don't mean that in a shitty grin type of way. I really truly mean go do it, because I don't think it's ever been any easier to create your art in history than it is right now. I really truly think that, because it could find an audience. Whereas if you were doing this 100 years ago, 500 years ago, maybe a village would see it,
Jeez.
or something, but you would never get it all the way around to the world. And now you can. So
that's really cool to think about.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Shut up with that take. Go make a movie is not the response to movies becoming more general and focused at making the most money. Yeah, it is. Why isn't it?
It is. Yeah. No.
What's the alternative? I mean, you yourself as an audience member can go watch the movies that you want to see more of, but what's the idea? Is that companies need to be berated and shamed into making the output that you think is appropriate? I mean, what's wrong with writing a film? I mean, yeah, it's I mean, the consumer lifestyle is delightful. Every day is a nonstop parade of delights that I'll never have the time to actually consume. But I don't know. I tend to be pretty relentlessly practical about that stuff, especially when, as I perceive it, when it's the market saying what they want. You can't argue with that. And the role of a business is to make products that people want to buy. so yeah, if you perceive movies as becoming like more templated or dumber or having less to say about the human condition, I don't know. It's hard for me to. Let's see here. Saying the consumer, you need to make it. If you dislike what the creator's making, you can say, I don't like this. Well, that's true. I think, well, Bruce, maybe I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's more about saying what other people ought to do. That's.
Oh, yeah. No. Oh, but so, yeah, this goes to your, I think it's Do Light.
Dolly the Great, yeah.
Oh, Dolly the Great, yeah. This goes, you can say whatever you want about art, by the way. Like, I please criticize as much as you'd like. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying basically, like, if you get to a point where you're like, every movie is the worst thing in the world. And to me, my answer is, that's okay. Say whatever, of course, free speech, criticize as much as you want. That's why critics exist. But what I am saying is, if you want to make the art better, if there is at some point you find yourself wanting to take action rather than just criticizing, then that's when it comes down to going to do something. I am very much the type of person that's like, well, if I've got a problem, I'm going to take some action. Like it's fun for Lawrence and I to slam on Rise of Skywalker for 2 hours in a video. But it's not like I was like, holy fuck, this Rise of Skywalker movie indicates that there is a much larger problem in Hollywood. Like I need to go change everything. Like it's not like that at all. It's just more of just like, I didn't like it. So, and then I move on.
And it can be fun to dunk on stuff.
It can be fun to dunk on stuff, absolutely.
Especially when it's so dunkable. Damn.
So that's what I mean. Delete that. Yeah, that's not. This isn't me like telling everybody that has a criticism to go do something else. No. This is just more of like, if it gets down to a point where you're like, you're angry about this stuff all the time, then maybe it's time to take action. Maybe that will help you work out that anger or frustration about it. I don't get frustrated about stuff that I don't like. I just don't like it. You know.
I find myself operating defensively. I will not watch things out of fear that I won't like it, which is the absolute dumbest thing in the world. There's no reason to do that. I don't know. I think it's the first step towards being being that kind of old person that just closes everything off. You get your heart burned by one bad album and you're like, bah, no more. I will go back and only listen to the 10 albums I know are good for the rest of my life, and then the sting will no longer reside on my heart. And then you get old and disconnected. I don't know that I'm not enough of a cinephile to speak to the nature of movies today, or especially compared to where they have been. But boy, the only thing I can offer is that I've been watching a ton of rom-coms from the year 2000 era, and those movies are trash, just utterly devoid of anything valuable, and I got 5 minutes into a movie called Mantervention, which may be one of the worst things I've ever seen. It's hard for me to believe that things are worse now than they have been, especially because the volume of output of media is just so much higher. You can go to any YouTube channel and see someone's genuine creative output, and it can have like 5 views. I think what's scary is when you start to, if you're only looking at the things that break, like in pop culture, or the things that get widely celebrated, yes, they're going to be bland and universal and simple because those are the things that resonate with everyone. When you get into a real specific expression of the human condition, that's not going to resonate with everybody because not everybody's in the frame of mind that they need to be in for that to hit, but it's going to resonate with somebody. It's hard for me to see 2021, maybe more like 2019, but this era, there's more media and more expression and more art in the world than ever, and it's all more accessible than ever. So it's very difficult for me to find in the context of media that there's a problem because there are so many ways to do it. It's also cheap. Technology has enabled, like, you can have a film crew that's like 4 people and make a feature for what, like $15,000 if you're just using cell phones and basic mics and stuff. It's not going to look great, but
way less.
So I don't know. If you want to get in, one of the amazing things I think is if you do try to get into something like that, if you're confused or resentful about certain creative decisions that people make, what's crazy is once you get into it and do it yourself a little bit, then you're like, oh, that's why they did all that, and it wasn't because
the process. Yes, yes.
And the compromises that happen along the way. I was watching an interview with David Lynch yesterday. And this was like just when he had released Eraserhead. And people were trying to wrap their minds around his method of creation. And they were like, this is such a unique movie. It's expressing so many crazy things. And he was basically like, and he's said this a million times since, but he's basically like, I didn't think about the audience at all. I just had my vision for what I wanted to make. And I created it. And it's intentionally abstract. Everything in there is created a certain way, but that doesn't mean that there's like a specific meaning that I was trying to give the audience. That's for the audience to interpret. But his approach has always been, I'm not making creative output for people to enjoy. I'm making it because it's art and I have an idea for what I want to make, and I think it'll contribute to the human condition. So there's multiple ways to approach that stuff too. I have utmost respect for people, and this is where I think it goes back to the concept of compromise and artistic output. Like on YouTube, if you were David Lynch and you got demonetized, you wouldn't give a shit as long as you could still make what you wanted to make.
Yeah.
God, what was it? There was a great quote, and it was a different interview. I don't know why I'm so stuck on David Lynch's interviews, but he was being approached to direct Empire Strikes Back, I think. And he went to Lucasfilm and got this tour, and George Lucas was talking with him, And like at some point, David Lynch like ducked out and called his agent and was like freaking out and was like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. David Lynch had a terrible headache and was like, you have to get me out of here. But there was some line that David said is George Lucas was kind of on the same wavelength. George Lucas was like, I'm just making what I want to make. And David Lynch said, yes, but the difference is, George, that when you make what you want to make, it's worth billions of dollars. And when I make what I want to make, it's, just a weird film that some people kind of latch onto.
That's right, yeah.
And then I was like, man, what a weird position to be in where you're making what, it's just what you have inside and you have to express it. And then it latches onto the human condition and everyone loves it and it's worth billions and billions of dollars. That's got to be, I don't know how anyone could process that. There's a weird tone going on here. I don't know if anyone can hear that.
I can't hear it. Well, Lawrence, while you're figuring out that tone, speaking of making anything more accessible using technology, this podcast is sponsored by NordVPN. So today is actually the very last day. So I know this is going to be on YouTube, and on YouTube, you will have missed the window. But today, for people that are watching on Twitch, nordvpn.com/talk2internet. If you go there right now, you will get, I'm clicking it right now, nordvpn.com/talk2internet. You will get a 2-year plan plus 1 month free for $3.56 a month. So you save 70%. And I know the deal is expiring today. So today is the last day that you can actually get access to that deal for NordVPN. And if you guys don't know what a VPN is, basically a VPN is something that protects your internet connection. So what it does is it routes your internet connection through other servers around the world, hiding the things that you are doing on the internet. Maybe you need that for some specific reason. Who knows why? There are lots of reasons why you could be trying to protect your connection, but you could do that with NordVPN. It's basically just one click. You install it on your computer, you click one button, and it's turned on. It'll find a server nearest you and route your connection through that. NordVPN has 5,400 servers in 59 countries. You can find a server near you for better speed or in a faraway location for more content. There's obviously amazing speed through NordVPN. I've tried it. I actually tried streaming for a while through a VPN using Nord, and it didn't change my connection very much. Slowed it down just a little bit, but it wasn't much. Also, you can use NordVPN on up to 6 devices: Windows, Android, iOS, macOS, Linux, even your Android TV using NordVPN. There's automatic kill switches. If the VPN connection accidentally drops, it blocks the device from accessing the web. There's a double VPN for extra protection. Users can actually route their traffic through 2 VPN servers, doubling the encryption. And then NordVPN has their technology called NordLynx. It's a next generation VPN tunneling solution based on the WireGuard protocol that provides an extremely fast VPN connection. So another thing you could do with the VPN is if you want to watch stuff that's region locked. For example, if you want to watch Netflix in another country, because I know like Netflix in the US versus Netflix in the UK has different content. You could just turn on the VPN and then route your connection through a server out in the UK. And at that point, you can watch stuff on Netflix UK. So, and then of course, gaming for the gamers out there like Lawrence.
This guy.
If a game is not available in your country, you just change your virtual location and buy it. You can find discounts in other regions, which I've never actually even tried to do.
That actually would have been really useful. I was trying to buy, like I talked about in the last Inside Games episode, I was trying to buy a PlayStation game for somebody in another region. Yeah, if I could have just spoofed an IP in the UK and bought a gift card there, that would have been so easy.
That's right. Well, next time, Lawrence, just remind me because I've got the NordVPN login. So you can just use it. And of course, you can game securely. So avoid DDoS attacks like when I got DDoSed. This is actually when I got DDoSed and I used NordVPN to protect my connection. That's how you do it. DDoS, when I got DDoS, it was super scary. So it was nice to have something that made me feel secure. So nordvpn.com/talk2internet, or if you go to nordvpn.com and then just use the code talk2internet, you will get that deal today for $3.56 a month for a 2-year plan plus 1 month free. It's 70% off. But again, that deal expires today. There will be a new deal tomorrow for that code. And for the people that are listening or watching on YouTube. But I don't know what the deal is. So we will find that out tomorrow and probably the next time we do the podcast. So again, nordvpn.com/talk-to-internet. Thank you very much, NordVPN, for sponsoring this podcast and enabling us to do it.
Thank you, Nord.
Yeah.
Big Nord. Okay, I found out what the sound was. Somebody's using like a vacuum cleaner or like a shop vac, and it's just putting out a weird resonant tone that's sort of blanketing the whole neighborhood. It's crazy.
The one vacuum?
Yeah, I guess so.
Huh. Okay.
Very strange. Cool. Although, man, there's a lot of birds out and about. Maybe it's just because it's spring, but man, they're chirping and flapping all over the place. It's wonderful. I'm not complaining. But just in terms of like, in terms of neighborhood noise, that's the most I ever hear. It's pretty idyllic around here. There's like bird chirping, maybe a little dog bark. Do you still have construction next door all the time?
Oh yeah, no, they've been building a house for an entire year. Like that's just across the way. I mean, like they literally tore down. So what happened was on my birthday last year, which is August 12th, I watched them tear down a house. So they literally tore it down, like it was a house and then they all the way down to the ground. And I was like, all right, well, let's see how long this project takes. And we are almost now at a full year because we're in May. So we're June, July, August. We're about 9 months. And the house is up. I still hear sawing and drilling and hammering, but they've done most of the big stuff I could see. So the house, nobody's moved into it. And I know it doesn't look like they're anywhere near it. So I guess, does it really take that long? Does it take a year? I've been thinking about this because I actually have no clue. If anybody in chat does construction or anything like that, I have no idea how long it takes to build a house in a neighborhood. Does it take an entire year to build a house? Like one singular house in a neighborhood? Is that true?
It can't, right? There's no way.
I have no idea.
People are being born faster than that.
I thought it was way faster than that.
Depends on what kind of house it is. I guess that's true. Depends on the crew. Should take weeks. That's what I would think. Yeah, maybe they only work like half days or something. The
Well, Lawrence, I can tell you that they're there at 7 in the morning.
On the dot. It's ready to go.
Usually they sort of peter out around 1 when there's 5 more hours of daylight left. But I don't know. I don't think it's half days. I think, and the house is pretty large. From what I can see, it's like it's huge actually compared to the house that I'm in. It's probably like a 4 or 5 bedroom.
Oh no, Bruce. No, you can't have a bigger house next door.
I'm renting. I don't give a shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It doesn't, to me, it's definitely larger. So it's 2 stories. It's probably like I said, 5 bedroom, whatever. So is that normal, chat? Was that like any architects or?
There's some people saying the permitting process. Somebody here says, depending on permits, contracts, and stuff, it could take longer. I work for an engineering firm, and we still have projects in progress since 2017.
It's wild.
Depends how fast the money is flowing. Yeah, you gotta file a lot of permits for that helipad in the backyard, I guess. The underground bunker. Can you tunnel? You can't tunnel under your neighbor's property, right? They own the property rights go down and up. Because it'd be pretty sick to have like a bunker that's tunneled under your neighbors.
That's a really good question. I would assume no.
Yeah, I think that's not good at all. That's trespassing. But if it's underground, they'd never know until their house falls into a sinkhole or something.
Well, also it's like, I was gonna say, it's like fracking. You might like fuck up their house and then it falls into the
hell yeah
drilling for oil underneath them or something.
Bruce, this is what you could do. All right, you just have to knock a hole into one of your rooms, one of the ones you don't like. I mean, let's be honest. The streaming room, we only see the back half, so you could take the front and just bash a big hole in the floor. Drill through your. Do you have a slab? You know what? Don't tell me. Whatever it is, just get through it. You might need to rent some heavy duty equipment, and then you just start tunneling, and you go right under their place. And and then when they keep making racket at 7 a.m., you just keep, every time you get woken up early, you go in and you dig out a little more dirt, and then eventually that house is just going to fall into a big pit. And you're gonna be living fine. You're gonna be sleeping like a baby.
What happens if they catch me? I'll definitely go to jail.
They can't because it's underneath the house and they won't know. It'll just fall into a pit and no one will know why, and no one will probably follow up and investigate any part of it.
Okay, all right.
I don't think there's any way they can find a tunnel back to your house and all the shovels and digging equipment you have.
Yeah, I was gonna say, at worst, they never discovered me. At best, I have made an entire house below their house.
Yeah, you get a free house.
I can live in anytime I want.
You can tell your landlord, you know what, landlord? Forget it. I'm not paying you any more rent. And then you move into the house under the house. And then you're living for free. You could just never leave.
And I could use Nord to protect my internet connection.
Exactly.
But I will also never see the sun.
Since you're under there, well, you can set up a series of mirrors to have sunlight like bounce through a tunnel into your place. You could probably get maybe sunlight for 10 minutes a day that way. You can run all your plumbing and electric from the house itself. They'll never know.
Basically, what their wastewater would be my shower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
You and Autumn will become mole people.
Did I hear mole people?
Oh, hey, there he is.
Is Criken here? Oh,
That's right. Say the words and I shall appear.
Perfect timing.
I stick my long mole nose out of the dirt and I look my little beady eyes around and I say, what is this about mole people, huh?
we were only saying kind things about mole people.
Words.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's important. Everyone,
was
sorry I'm a bit late.
No worries.
No, don't worry about it. Yeah, if there was one thing I knew about Criken, it's that, I mean, look at his room. Clearly, he's a mole person. Like, it's only lit up by lights. I don't know what sunlight comes into that room.
Oh, it doesn't. I have the highest grade blackout curtains possible. They used these back in the war days. And let me tell you, nothing gets in or out, okay? I live in a bubble.
All right. Well, that's one of these. I do like seeing Criken. Sometimes I'll occasionally see Criken out in the sunlight. And I see him squint. He's like a vampire.
Yeah, no, that's not actually me. That's a body double I hire to be me.
All right.
If you notice, whenever we go inside, then there's like a lag, and I'm usually wearing different clothing and come back out from behind like the bathroom, and I'm like, Bruce,
that. Yeah,
it is me, Criken again.
Oh man, Criken, you missed our hot tub discussion. We talked about the hot tub meta for the first 45 minutes of this podcast.
Were you guys considering getting in on that? I'd watch that.
Oh,
Or
I'm
be
definitely
in the hot tub. You know,
I'm almost guaranteed that I will be doing a hot tub stream, but I'm just trying to figure out how to do it and to make sure I don't break TOS. That's important.
right.
So that was that's what we talked about.
I need to buy you some real nut hugger shorts. The ones where like what I can only presume is just a mass of outrageously thick and virile pubic hair would just be exploding out of it on every side. Still fine.
Virile pubic hair.
Oh yes.
Oof,
Bruce is a hairy guy.
I'm
a
way
shot
too
of
hairy.
coffee in the morning. Just
Way
Yeah. Good morning, Criken.
I also like I want to make sure that I don't have a dick print. You guys know what the dick print is.
Just don't be hard, dude.
I don't want.
Is
No,
that
it's
like
not.
when
If you wear something tight enough, you'll see the dick.
Oh yeah.
Nah. If you're soft, it's just a Play-Doh mass. There's no definition there.
It's like a Resident Evil zombie.
Yeah, it's just a squishy lump.
It depends how tight the pants are. I know what you're talking about. I've been there before.
Sometimes, sometimes it presses up against it. It might be a hot day or something, and then you never know where your garbage is at any point in time. Your garbage might be shifted one way or the other, or pointing straight. Who knows? I don't know what you do down there. Then you might see the dick print, and then that, to me, I bet that would probably be TOS. I would imagine.
But it's going to be underwater.
Imagine. Yeah, the bubbles cover
that's
it. That's
true.
the point. That's the meta.
And the water like refracts and it makes things look like they're not where they are. So if Twitch says, "Hey, we saw your dick," you could say, "No, it was the light, trick of the light.
That was the trick of the light.
It's an illusion." Yeah. And then they have to let you do it. There's no arguing that, man.
As soon as Criken shows up, we start talking about dicks. We weren't talking about dicks the whole time.
I didn't bring it up.
Bruce
This is
was
all
the
you
first one to bring it up.
I know.
Criken, how could you?
guys. Look, I have that effect on men. I don't know what to say.
I don't know. I love the idea of trying on every like Twitch gimmick like a vest, but the problem that I've come up with is I don't know how to properly play a sweet video game from a hot tub.
You don't have to. You don't. There is no such thing.
But I don't want to waste any time on Twitch not playing video games.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then that's important.
Play a Switch, and then you do a bit where you drop your Switch in the hot tub, and you're like, "Oh no,
Oh no! People got to buy me a new Switch. Tee hee. Hit up my Amazon.
That's actually what
I actually need a new Switch.
I wouldn't say this is the meta, but several years ago, I was in a voice call with Tomato, myself. Obviously, I was in the call, and my buddy Zyke, and we were doing like a Google Hangout and like streaming it. and we're all just like chilling, having a good time. And my buddy Zyke was like doing a whole bit where he was like playing the Hamilton theme and like dancing and like singing. We're all like, oh, he's being so goofy. And then for some reason, whatever got into him, there was like a spirit that possessed him, and he was like, he put on this one track that wasn't from Hamilton. It was like this dramatic, like kind of national, like rising tune, and he like goes one by one to each of us in the call, and he's like, Criken, are you gonna let your dreams be dreams? And I'm like, no. And he's like, Tomato, are you gonna let your dreams be dreams? And he said, no. And he waits and he hears the drop of the song. And as soon as the song drops, he's got, by the way, an American flag tied around his neck. So he's got like a cape over the American flag. And as soon as the song drops, he throws his headphones off and leaps out his window.
What?
Cool.
Because
Is it open?
He lives on the first floor and it's open. And so he like had already planned out this this maneuver. However, it wasn't open enough.
Oh no.
So in this clip, you can see him like he clears it with his first half of his body, and then he hits his bed because it's his bed up against the window, and his butt bounces up and just shatters the back of it as his legs disappear out the back, and we're just in the call going, oh no, oh no, like I just witnessed the death of my friend. I'm freaking out. And then like a few moments later, he climbs back in, and he's just like so embarrassed.
Oh man.
So we ended stream, and apparently all the viewers went and they bought him a new window.
Oh, that's nice.
You know, that's what I'm saying, man. Lawrence is, you know, either a window or a switch or even a hot tub. If you break it on stream, they legally have to buy you a new one. So you should take advantage of that.
That's okay. All right.
Slight complication. It's good to know this, Criken. You've empowered me and my creative dreams, but it is my understanding that you can't transfer Animal Crossing villages from one Switch to the other. So will Twitch?
They would all die. They would all drown in there.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
Right next to your dick.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks for that. That was a worthwhile addition to the comment.
I don't want to think about any of my villagers being near my dick, but I appreciate that. Maybe the frog. Anyway, if can I also expect that Twitch chat would buy me a new Switch and a copy of Animal Crossing, and then also create a village and make it exactly like the one that I had, weeds and all, and then deliver unto me that Switch with all save files perfectly paired with where my Switch used to be. Is that what?
Well, if we've learned anything from Twitch Plays Pokemon, it's that, you know, given enough time, viewers can do anything. So yeah, as long as you don't mind waiting like, you know, a couple millennia, I think they'd probably get about that exact copy of your Switch and get it back to you.
I'm on a timetable here. I have to keep ignoring my Animal Crossing village. I haven't played the game in about 9 months, but I still think very fondly of it. So I'm making that Twitch's problem.
I think very fondly of it as well, but I'm never going to touch it again. Like, I'm scared now. I can't get back. Are you
scared?
Because they're all going to be angry and there's going to be weeds everywhere.
So, actually, fun facts. I remember looking this up when the game first came out. The old games would have your villagers be absolutely livid with you if you didn't come back. This one, they tried to temper it a little bit. They're not quite that.
They don't guilt you as much now.
They don't guilt you as much, but I would recommend everyone go back and look at the original like world reset dialogue from the original Animal Crossings, because that was fucked up. That was like traumatic. Basically, a villager would beg you to not delete them. If you're like, oh, you know, my parents said I have to stop playing Animal Crossing, I gotta wipe my village, and you go and like do that, they literally are like alone in a room with you, and they're like, please, if you do this, I'll cease to exist. And like they just hit you with that out of nowhere. I don't know why they did that.
I wish that they had not only done that, but then when you press the delete button, that it shows their character like go away like
Oh, they found it.
Like they get that Thanos snapped, or they disappear and then they scream. Like there's a really high pitched, terrible scream as you click delete, and then they get faded away into digital existence.
This is the window jump, by the way, if you want to watch this real quick.
Yeah.
Oh.
I put on pants for this in chat, found it. Don't look at the blinky lights if you're not able to look at blinky lights.
I love that he's ready.
Yeah, I would turn up the volume too.
Oh.
To hear the,
Okay.
You give up on your dreams?
Oh man. It sucks. Good for him.
No.
No.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That's what happens when you don't give up on your dreams, though.
Yeah, good for him for committing to the bit. I like that a lot.
He commits all right.
I like that a lot.
I'm glad he didn't get hurt.
He got
Yeah.
a little bit hurt, but
Oh.
it wasn't that bad. Yeah, they cleaned up the glass, and I think he had like a bruised tailbone for a few days. But
Yeesh.
yeah. Man.
Criken, how much have you played of Resident Evil Village?
I've done one stream so far. I just got past the part with the lady that everyone.
Lady D?
Lady D. Yep. I'm loving it so far. I think it's great.
Okay, I just wanted to I wanted to talk about this because I loved the game. I was surprised at how much I like this game.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out if other people like it too.
I'm already surprised how much I like it, and
Okay, all right.
so I'm trying not to rush it, and I've only done one stream so far, so I feel like I need to hurry up, or everyone's gonna have already fangirled over it. But yeah, no, it's much better than I had expected, basically.
Okay, Lawrence, what about you? Because I know you beat it too.
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely loved it. It's cool. I approve. What I've always liked about Capcom is, for better or worse, often both, they're very dedicated to sort of trying new things, and I don't know, there hasn't been a whole lot of just like, yeah, we're going to do that thing that worked again. Even with their banner franchises, which is so different than what I think you see from a lot of other companies that hit on a winning formula. So
Keep doing it.
yeah. I mean, my head immediately goes to Ubisoft as a company that, like, yep, we figured out open world stuff, so now we're making one every year, and we're gonna try we'll add a grappling hook, or now there's a bird. But no, Capcom will like fundamentally change the spiritual nature. But at the same time, the things that they keep consistent are just like the bonkers narrative, the sort of like just like animated out B-grade Western horror vibe that's still there. Because now we get Wolfmen, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like thematically. I think that's really what first made an impact on me, was watching like the opening cinematic in that storybook fashion was
Oh, it's so cool.
beautiful. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my god, I want a game of this now. Like, how did
Yeah.
they? This came out of nowhere.
It's so great. I've been trying to, because what you're describing, Lawrence, so like you're saying basically they hit on their formula with Resident Evil 7 and then improved on it for 8, right? Or did they change?
I mean,
I don't know.
even 7 was radically different because we played 6,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
and
no, yeah,
7
we
is
played-
nothing like that.
No, well, 7 was the change, and then to me it seemed like they were perfecting that change in 8.
Yeah, I think they took the base mechanics of 7, but what kills me about 8 and Criken, the map will imply this, so I hope this isn't too much of a spoiler, but it is almost like every bot, like it's almost like Mega Man shit. Every boss, every like lord has their own zone that's themed around them, and each zone also has a different gameplay style to it. So
That's,
It's
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Lady Dimitrescu's castle is like probably the most classic Resident Evil because you're in a castle and there's keys that open doors. But it's also very 7 in the sense that you have like you have Lady Dimitrescu and her daughters chasing you, kind of like the Bakers did in the house in 7. So yeah, man, it's
I'm excited
that
to see the other ones then.
it's really cool, Craig, and I think you'll really like it because it is almost Disneyland like hub and spoke because there was a literal hub with the merchant in it, and then you follow paths out to each of these like lands inhabited by a lord. And I don't know that Resident Evil goes through like environments. You know, there's the mansion and the lab, and then the spooky shed that's off. It's separated from the mansion. Like it'll go through different like biomes and stuff because also Returnal's on my mind. But the way that 8 sort of like literalized that structure, but then also used it as an opportunity to put in multiple different kind of gameplay modes that each actually work really well, was just super awesome. I feel like 6 tried to do that in the way that they separated out the campaigns. Some were a little slower paced.
Yeah.
Some tried to be a little spookier. Others were much more actiony. But I thought
So-
8 executed on that a lot better.
I'm coming from the Pruge in your chat, Lawrence, who said, I want to play 7 and 8, but I feel like I'm really going to get confused because I've never played any Resident Evil game before. I could give two shits about Resident Evil. And I played a few hours of 7, thought it was cool. To me, it was like a PT copy, and I was like, I get it. Like, it's great. I think it was neat, but I didn't finish it. Resident Evil 6 is a joke. Like, we played through it, and it's an absolute joke. 4, I remember being good, but I haven't played it. I haven't touched it in years, so I didn't give a fuck. So when I played Resident Evil Village, I was like, I'll play the first 3 hours. It probably won't hook me, and then I'll move on. And I played for the first 3.5 hours. I'm like, fuck me. And as soon as I was done, I was like thinking about what the game was. Because like Lawrence said it, again, hopefully not too much of a spoiler, but like it breaks out into a bunch of other worlds. And normally that's a video game trope. I've seen that 100,000 times in video games. It's not anything unique. But the story and the gameplay got me to think about what the other environments were. And I was like, what else could they do here? Like, what other things could they throw at me that felt just as good as Lady D's castle?
And it might be a trope, but I will say it is, I think, my single favorite trope in video games. Which is a lot to say, but the first game that really like I vibed with was Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, and that game is composed of these different worlds that you go to and are all themed differently and feel totally different. I mean, gameplay wise, they're pretty similar, but they have different conceits based on the worlds you're in. And that blew my mind. That was like the way that you could do world building, and have, a pirate world next to a haunted mansion world and have them totally self-sufficient, was like, crack to me as a kid creatively. So, Disney's, all about that stuff, right? And Disneyland and all that. So,
well, movies are too. I mean, if you think about franchises like Star Wars. Star Wars, you got the desert planet, you got the winter planet, and you got the forest planet. I mean, it's the same. Like that's a very again, it's a trope, but it's not a bad trope. It's just a trope. Yeah. I was just so impressed with the pacing of Village. That to me was what got me, because like I'm very much the type of person who, if someone's like, okay, there's this great video game called Demon Souls, where you go in and the game, like even if you like the gameplay of Demon Souls, they're like, well, now you got to go out and do about 10 hours of grinding. So get to go into the old worlds you just saw and do the same shit over and over. I'm like, nope, we're good. Whereas Village doesn't do that. Like it's so cool. Like it compounds on the learning. It's the game I kept thinking of was Half-Life 2, and Half-Life Alyx. That's how those play out. Every world builds on what you learn, but it gives you a different mechanic that actually works. And I don't know if Lawrence, you probably know this better than I would. I don't know if the creative team changed between Resident Evil 7 and 8. I don't know if the director changed or the director or the who knows, producers changed or the programmers changed or anything like that.
So 8 was produced by Sato, I thought. So the director of 7 was Koshi Nakanishi, and I don't think that's the director of 8.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. Yeah, director was Morimasa Sato of 8. So different director. And I don't know much about the rest of the team, but yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. I haven't actually tracked the development of either of those games very much, about like the talent behind them or the decisions they made. But now I'm curious because Bruce, it's awesome to hear you bring up Half-Life, because that was the sense I got too. Half-Life is really cool because 1 and 2, you play like a day in the life of Gordon Freeman, and there's no disconnection. You start on the train, and then you flow through all these environments like you're on a roller coaster. And you go from the labs to like sewage tunnels to frozen laboratories to topside fighting army guys to back underground fighting a giant mutant tentacle. And it's all this just like really cool series of environments you roll through, and it feels supernatural, and it feels like just an awesome ride. And 8 totally has that sensibility. You roll through all these environments, and it's always pretty clear about where to go next. And each, like, again, with that hub and spoke design, I think if you go to a theme park, what I really love is, ever since Stephanie brought this up about Disney engineering, is thinking about eye lines, about what you can see from any given perspective. Yeah. And Disney World is fantastic because every time you're in one of the areas, you can't see any other one. And there's always like, that World of Warcraft room that's like a loop with a big column in the middle that you have to like kind of loop through to get to any big city.
Yeah.
That's just there to break eyeline. It's also there for like loading textures and things like that. But it makes it so if you're like in the castle, you can't see outside because then it would like create this mishmash of environments and stuff like that. A lot of video games have a room like that, like a sight breaker. And 8 has a lot of that too. You'll go through like a twisty cave and then you'll come out in this like new environment. It's like a gradient to where you're going. And it's just, it's just so smooth. And it definitely has that like that Half-Life dark ride sort of feeling where you're just like, you're just bumping along the way. Like, look at that. Wow, that's crazy. And there's always something going on. The only instance in 8, Bruce, that you talked about is where like you get a new tool and then it takes you back to the village. And then you can like go and open some things you couldn't open before.
Sure. Yeah.
But that's mostly for like treasure. Yeah.
It's treasure. Yeah. So to me, it was just like basically you could unlock better weapons if you wanted to by going to get that treasure and like fooling around, which I wanted to, by the way, because I was like, the gameplay is great. So like I loved shooting the guns. I loved learning those new mechanics and those new weapons. So as soon as you get back, you're like, all right, well, what does this Ushaka do? Like I'm excited, like, and I was just surprised to see that in Resident Evil. I was so surprised because everything else that I've played from Resident Evil, apart from 7, has just been very video gamey and not at all like a cohesive story. And I'm not going to spoil anything for you, Criken, because you got a lot ahead of you. But at the very end of the game, that's when they throw all the lore at you, and that's when I was like, oh, all right, haha, funny, weird shit happens here. This person does this. They're like, wow, this doesn't make any sense. But since the game is so good, it got me thinking about it. It got me going like, well, wait a minute. What about if Chris does this, or what about if blank does this, or whatever? And before I thought it was stupid. And now this game has got me excited about it. So I thought that's why just generally all the way around for me, it's been probably game of the year so far for me. But
yeah,
it's great, Criken. You're gonna love it.
I am very excited. I'm probably gonna play it again. Man, my fucking week is fucked. Maybe
Whenever.
Yeah, as soon as I can, I'll let you know.
It's just a nice chill. You'll sit down and enjoy it. It's just a chill stream. Like you could do it for 3-4 hours and not even realize you did it. So I don't know. I wanted to hear it from Lawrence's perspective because I know you've been following Resident Evil for years. So
yeah, I mean on the lore side of things, apparently there was some DLC in 7 that more properly set up the events of 8, and I hadn't played those. So I was coming into 8 with a half deck. Also, the lore of Resident Evil is just absurd. To some degree, the absurdity of it is what makes it fun. It's just the nonsensical movements of the characters. One thing that I enjoy tracking, and there's a bit of a meme about this, but I love how Resident Evil, like, they design characters with like male gaze and sexual intent. I mean, Lady Dimitrescu, obviously, but it used to be a lot worse. But it also has hunky boys. Bruce, maybe you were catching some glimpses of Chris's full physique at the end there, because holy shit,
absolutely, he's fucking ripped.
That boy's swollen. But none of the characters inside of Resident Evil ever acknowledge sex ever. So I was spending the entire game trying to figure out how and why Ethan Winters is the first Resident Evil protagonist to fuck. I think Wesker did, but that might have also been a test tube baby. Well, Wesker has a kid, according to canon.
Wesker probably fucks.
But he probably injected his cells into some fish that grew up into a human or something.
I mean, in Resident Evil 5, there's all those lines, and a big part of the game is eggs, right? I need an egg. You will give me an egg. You ever hear those lines?
I'm trying to remember them. Is that the merchant that would say that stuff?
No, it's just the actual players. You can play as Wesker, Chris, Sheva, all of them, and they all have lines of, you will give me an egg. Like, that is the go-to line for I need food. It's always an egg for some reason. And so you can throw eggs at people. Like,
You're proving my point here. Resident Evil has always been a joke. Like, the stories have always been...
You.
No,
I'm happy
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing. It's just more of like with the thing where I keep, because like I've talked to people who take Resident Evil stories seriously, and I like I'm like it's kind of always been a joke, and Resident Evil Village is not. The story itself is pretty good. It's pretty cohesive. It kind of makes sense up until the very end, And like I was like I could follow it, and I didn't play 7. I understood what was going on. I understood why he like it's a very one note story of I need to get my daughter, which everyone can identify with, which I'm fine with. But then at the end, when
I don't have a daughter.
I kept thinking about Tom Jane in Arrested Development. I just want my daughter back. Just over and over again. Like, this is a perfect character.
Right. And
oh boy, people are getting all tossed up about Ethan Winters too. Chat hyped me to this, so I want to make sure you guys are aware. All right, those images circulating on Twitter, that's not actually Ethan Winters. There is no official art of Ethan's face.
Wow.
Which I actually think is kind of cool for a video game character. That's kind of a neat idea that Capcom came up with in 7 and has been running with ever since. Apparently you can, again, this is all coming from chat, but apparently you can glitch the camera outside of Ethan in Resident Evil 7. So people have a photo of what his face model is like in that game. But apart from that, his face has never been acknowledged, which also, I think, contributes to the dubiousness of him implanting his DNA into a human living woman. Again, I'm stuck on this. Parentage is a big deal in Resident Evil. I guess everything is, but I thought that was neat.
Ethan, it's like, and yeah, Ethan is kind of a dumb, whatever. Like he says a few things like he's like eat shit.
Yeah, Ethan's one-liners are stellar.
They were so bad.
Way to go.
I'm not gonna spoil. I mean, I've only beaten one of the bosses, but upon beating them, there's a one-liner that made no actual sense.
No. The one-liners in Resident Evil never make sense.
I know, which is part of the charm for me, I think.
Oh, it totally is, and that's the thing is that like basically to me, Ethan Winters is like if Gordon Freeman had said things, because Gordon Freeman never says anything, which is by the way,
he would be lame.
That's why Valve is so good at storytelling, is because they were like, you know what? No, he's not going to say eat shit or like fuck you or whatever, like. Which, by the way, probably something you would say if you were really in that position and you shot a giant zombie. You would probably say like eat shit if you killed the zombie, like as a real person. I don't think you'd say anything cool. You'd probably be like, "Fuck, man, I got him," like or whatever.
Techno Man in chat. Come on, what are you saying?
Realistic.
That's absolutely addressed. Someone didn't finish the game.
Oh, someone didn't finish the game. Yeah, someone did not finish the game.
I'll also admit that's one thing. Again, dancing around spoilers a bit, but there are things about 7 and 8 that test your boundaries of acceptance, like kind of push your suspension of disbelief, and they do that on purpose because it actually does pay off at the end. I love moments where weird things happen and at the end the villain asks the protagonist something, but they're really asking you something. So there's a moment like that in 8 where the villain is like, you didn't ever think it was weird that all of those things happened? And of course you, the player, are like, of course I thought it was weird. I was screaming at the TV. But I love it when they implant those things and then pay them off.
Yeah. It's really, and that was really like, yes. I'm not gonna spoil anymore. I can't talk to you anymore about that. But Lawrence, you're absolutely correct. And damn it, I wish I could say the one thing that I wanted to say, but I can't say it. So I'll say it off the stream. However, I just think I wanted to say something about single player games because a lot of people have been talking about how like games as a service are what are making money, and single player games, like obviously this PlayStation's still funding a bunch of them, but in my opinion, this is a game is totally worth $60, like 100%. I think that this, even if you only get 10, 11 hours out of it, the first playthrough, which is probably what I will end up doing, to me, that was worth $60 because this game stuck with me. I'm going to think about it for a while. I doubt that I'll ever go back to playing it, but that's because of my job. It's not because of what I want to do. And I truly do think that this game is so polished that it is 100% worth your time and money. And I don't say that about very many single player games. So for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to play through it again. I'm excited. Apparently there's something real scary about Village of Shadows difficulty, but I don't know what it is yet. So I'm excited to dig into that. Also, Bruce, depending on if you want to spend more time with it, but this is probably something I would have overlooked again if Chad hadn't pushed me in the right direction. But once you finish the game, the bonuses section, like you get an in-game currency to unlock bonuses in the game. One of them is a separate mode called Mercenaries, and Mercenaries has appeared in Resident Evil for a while. Yeah. It's really good in 8. It's really good. Yeah, the way that it works is like
I don't want to know all the different enemy types, but
No,
in
you're still
Mercenaries,
Ethan.
Okay. Because in some of the Mercenaries, I feel like I know you can play as like Wesker and like some of the other characters in 5, but
Yeah, unfortunately, this one's still single player.
mm,
But it almost has like rogue elements or rogue light elements
mm,
where you're dropped into an arena and you have to kill zombies as quickly as possible. But then there are these orbs that you find that either give you more time per arena or they give you certain gameplay modifiers. Like headshots do more damage, melee does 5 times as much damage. You do more damage in close proximity and all that stuff. So as you play through these stages, you can sort of develop a character build based on the abilities that drop for you. And then it gets into the headspace of like, yeah, I have all these melee abilities that have sort of randomly rolled. Now I have to start speccing out that way. And then between stages, you go back to the merchant. So you can sell off all your guns and be like, okay, I'm just going to get first aid and melee and just do this, play it this way and see
that
what
is
score I get.
fun.
It's a neat way to extract some more value out of the game.
Yeah.
Is that a horde mode? Is it multiplayer or is it horde?
It's not multiplayer. It is sort of horde mode. Yeah, they basically drop you into a fenced off environment from the game, and then yeah, there's X number of enemies in the arena, and you have to kill them as fast as possible and keep your combo up, and go around and pick up power ups and stuff. It's neat,
Got it.
and I guess you unlock more stuff if you get good ranks on the stages than that too. So there's that.
Okay. All right.
But yeah.
I'm gonna try it. You and everybody else has recommended it to me, so I definitely should try it.
It's got great music in that mode too.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, Heisenberg is so fucking cool.
Right?
What a cool fucking
Okay.
character.
We gotta move off the topic because I'm gonna get spoiled. But I will say the only time that I have seen him was at the beginning when they first see you, and immediately I was like, the VO choice for this character is so specific. I'm like
It's
really
perfect.
weirdly into it, and then I'm like, why am I so into it? Why am I so into it? And I realized he's fucking Nick Cage. He's got the same energy as Nick Cage.
Yes.
That's exactly why I'm like I love it.
That actor. I could tell right away that he was a British actor doing an American accent, and that's why it's so weird.
Yeah.
Because he did.
And-
It's the same guy who did Nikolai in 3, which was Russian, I think.
Okay,
really?
all right. Yeah, he is just spot on, perfect. Obviously, the character design is great too. So all the credit goes to the producers and developers for that. But the voice actor does a fantastic job of like making you like this guy. Where like the other characters, like they're fun. I like the other bosses, and they were super memorable because of their character design. But I liked Heisenberg, and I liked his voice, and I liked the way he talked to you. And there's just something about it that they hit the nail on the head for that character.
Oh yeah, you're right. From the UK. Good call, Bruce.
The reason I know that is because he sounds like Heath Ledger doing the Joker, where he talks like this.
Yeah, kind of hits the R's a little too hard.
Yeah. Whenever he says an R, he
Which-
goes R.
That's almost maybe that's part of the Nick Caginess of it.
True.
Yeah.
Wow, I hadn't thought about that. That's a really good observation.
It's because British actors, or at least from what I've seen, British actors don't produce. They don't say R's. So so when they have to say R's when they're American, they have to say American. Like, oh, got it. Yeah. So he's just so good at it. Heisenberg's
Yeah.
just so good at it. Oh, great.
There's a I mean, you're probably familiar with the flow at this point, Criken, but most of the 4 like demon lords or whatever, they all have a pretty great Far Cry sort of villain cheesing the camera sequence with Ethan, where Ethan's stapled to the floor or has his legs impaled into his head for a little bit. Like they find some way to brutalize that man.
Sure.
And then they just strut around the room telling you how evil they are. And yeah, Heisenberg's like Voss monologue is just outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. I just had a big smile on my face the whole time. It was so good. I love it, man. I love that like we're getting like First Blood style monologues out of video games now. And I guess Far Cry 3 feels like it was the first one to really kick all that off. Maybe it was like Patrick Stewart in Oblivion or something, but yeah, I hope that there's a day, and maybe it's already happening, where somebody goes to do like they go to audition to do performance capture for a game, and then they do like, I'm gonna do Heisenberg's monologue from Resident Evil Village.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, very good, excellent selection. Let's see it. But yeah. God, I wanna watch that again. Also, one of the few Resident Evil villains. It's like I kind of see where you're coming from on this, but then Ethan's like, eat shit.
Eat shit, fuck you. And you're like, all right, get him, Ethan. That's right. You tell him.
Yeah, Ethan, we hate him. He's the bad guy.
That's exactly right. It's like his mom standing behind him. That's right, Ethan. You tell him. You keep at it, buddy.
Eat shit. He looks to his mom.
You're so
did
strong.
good. Yeah, I'm so proud of you.
Your mom's favorite boy.
Oh, we made it to the end, guys. We made it to the end of the podcast. So.
Oh, wow, that's a short one today, huh?
I know. For you, it was short, Criken. But I want to say thanks again to the two gentlemen podcasting with me. Thank you very much for coming on, and also to NordVPN for sponsoring the podcast as well.
I will say thank you to the one gentleman podcasting this with me. As to which one of them is the gentleman, I will leave to you, the listener.
Well, I'm gonna.
Anybody say thank you?
I do, and perhaps this will make it clear which gentleman Criken was referring to. But I'd like to thank the audience.
Nice.
Oh,
Yep, I got it. You guys left it for me, but I picked it up. Thank all of you.
gentleman card. You just got it minted.
Snark aside, I think it's outrageous that anyone would listen to anything I have to say for any amount of time. But the fact that people would come and listen to us chat about stuff is awesome, and I'd like to think I never lose sight of that. Maybe in my weaker moments. Oh man, speaking of weaker moments, I shaved my dick this week. We didn't even talk about that. Well, we'll tease it out for the next podcast then.
Wow, I can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah, there were some misadventures. There were some nicks. It was an ordeal. But that'll have to wait till next time.
Now that's a cliffhanger. I bet you really want to tune in for the next one now, huh?
That's a dick hanger is what it is.
It's me refreshing the page, waiting for it to pop up.
Bruce, you streaming after this?
I'm not immediately, but I will be streaming tonight. I'm going to be opening up some old Pokemon cards and then giving them away because I can't wait to do it. This Pokemon card shit, I love it. I've been collecting cards since I was 9 years old. So I'm so glad this shit is back because I can finally do it as a job.
Criken, how about you? What you got going on today?
I got a bunch of stuff. I'm in a D&D show in about an hour, and then I'm streaming Kenshi at the end of the night, doing an interactive show in that. Also been playing Minecraft on a new server that we just launched with all of our buds. That you guys are welcome to join if you want to. It's a modded Minecraft experience that is it's been pretty fun. So if you want to get in on that, I can shoot you the details.
I've been watching it, and it's super cool.
Yeah. I'm the rat king in mine. I have been raising rats to...
What a surprise.
Take over the server. Hey, look, I didn't set out to do that, okay? I had planned to do anything else, and basically, as soon as I logged in, they're like, look, there's a rat mod. They handed me the stuff for it, and they're like, all right, on your way. And I was like, all right, guess this is my life now. But, hey, I'll take it.
Lawrence, what are you doing?
Let's see. I'm going to try to bash out an Inside Game script about Battlefield 6. Rumor Roundup, where we'll analyze all that stuff. Yeah, I'm excited because I know, Bruce, you love Battlefield, so I'm excited to
I love it.
Chat with you about that. And then hopefully, time depending, if anything else pops up, hopefully later tonight I can get back to streaming Resident Evil. I want to start my Village of Shadows playthrough.
The hardest difficulty.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what that's like because, man, that first sequence on hardcore, if you start a fresh save and try to play that intro on hardcore, it is busted. That is one of the harder things I've done in all of video games recently. Just getting through that first sequence, that Resident Evil 4 sequence when you're getting chased in the village.
Yeah. I've heard it's super broken if you're doing it on the hard difficulties. So.
It smooths out nearly immediately after that. But I'm excited to do that on Village of Shadows. Huh?
I did that when I first played. I did that and I was like, this is not easy. And everyone's like, you're gonna die in tutorial. And I'm like, this is not tutorial. We are past that point.
Yeah, hopefully that's what I got going on later tonight. We'll see. And then I'm going to go on a trip because I'm vaccinated and I can do that now.
Oh,
That's
nice.
That's real nice.
Going up to Central California. Take it easy. Life moves a little slower in Central California. I've never been, so I'm just saying that. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, what a weird way to say that.
I've been, and it's just because people are lazy. No, I'm just kidding.
Damn. Oh my God.
I lived there for years, guys. I'm joking around.
All right. Well, thank you all very much again.
Already. This is like a 30-minute, end show.
I know you're done. All right, fine. Yeah, podcast is done. Jeez.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.